once it pings in. Okay, so we're now live to Facebook and Twitter, and then we'll go into the music. Well, welcome to the Straight to Reposs non-league preview, and we're here for the next hour tonight. And I suppose introducing everybody first, it was great to be back after a week off last week, and of course to my right, maybe to your left, as you're physically looking at things tonight, of course is Paul. So welcome, Paul.
Evening, Dave. Evening, everyone.
How are you, mate?
All good, mate. All good. You know, ticking along.
Good. And making his debut, of course, our South champion, shall we say, from now on in. And, of course, I was told by a certain person that, what you should be doing is getting somebody in that knows what they're doing when it talks about the South. And here's the man to do that for us. And, of course, that's Dean Sawyer. So welcome, Dean.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I'm going to try and represent the South East as well as I can.
You'll be right as rain, mate. Don't worry about it. I'm just trying to get your name underneath you, but unfortunately there's a box that seems to be covering your name right at the top there. I'll try and get you over there in a minute as best we can. But I suppose one thing I wanted to say, me personally, I think we do this show every week. And for me, probably one of the most professional layouts that we can do, the shows that we do. So I just want to put that out there that I just think this show looks quite professional. It looks down to the fact of when you look at stuff like Sky Sports and that, when they're doing stuff like this as well with Sky News, we're just following the trend, and I think we look pretty good standing there right next to each other like Charlie's Angels. I don't know about you two guys.
Yeah, I think it always looks good and always looks professional. So and you do a decent job, mate. To be fair, hosted.
Well, we try. We do try, and of course, the show's there for you guys out there, as we've said before. We want to, we want to try and give you the best show we possibly can to represent these fantastic leagues, or 4 leagues of ours. But of course, what we're trying to set up, or what I'm trying to set up at the moment as well, is for us to have a completely permanent home. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is we've got it all set up, ready to go. I just need someone out there that might want to help us out a little bit of sponsorship and sponsor a new studio for us. Now, we're looking for somebody that might want to put their name to a new studio for us, and I've got the room and I can sit out the corner of my eye because I've been preparing it. We want to try and build ourselves I'm going to try and build a nice little gazebo type thing outside in my back garden, which is going to be the actual main studio for the show for Monday, and of course then from myself on a Friday, and then of course as well when we do the My Life in Football podcast as well from the same place. If there's anybody out there and you want to help out the show and have your name, your company, of course, on that new studio, then why not get hold of me through the usual courses, of course, Facebook and through Twitter. But there's been some fantastic games in the last week, and I suppose we've got some fantastic games coming up as well. But I don't know about you guys, before we go into the games that we've got, I mean, do you honestly feel now that maybe all 4 leagues are almost done and dusted, for champions-wise at least? Dean?
For sure. I think it's a huge problem. All 4 leagues are done. In a few of them, the playoffs are looking reasonably done. And I suppose the only benefit with this crazy playoff system is that even if you are sort of settled in the playoffs, you've still got to go and win every game because your points per game average needs to be so high. So we might still have stuff to play for in the playoffs, but for sure, all 4 leagues are done, mate. It's all over.
Do you agree, Paul?
Yeah, I was just looking at that before we came on. We came live. They're all done and dusted. No one's catching anybody now. It's a case of the fight will be there to see who can finish the highest to get the home draw. in the playoffs. That's, I think, where the battle will be. So yeah, I mean, you're looking. I think we've spoken about it once or twice. You know, the league winners of each division, by the looks of things, are pretty much all 3Gs, Dave, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, Bowers, Dorking, Cray, Hayes and Yedlin, the only ones with the grass pitch, I think. So yeah, it's all done and dusted for me, mate. Pretty much.
And is that is that a disappointing thing, or would you rather see it all still being up for grabs and people fighting for it right up to the last day?
Firstly, it is disappointing, of course. It's going to be more exciting if the league had stuff to play for. But what it does do is when they do all go up to step 3 or step 2, in one case, is they should be decent sides and should be able to battle away. Also, this season you're going to get a deserved winner. These all 4 sides are deserving of their title win once they clinch it. So it's fair enough, I suppose.
Paul?
Yeah, look, I'm sure if you spoke to every single manager that's sitting top of the league right now, they'll say it's not finished, it's not over. There's a long way to go, all the old cliches. But look, you have to applaud the guys that have done it. And we've said it before, champions are champions for a reason. They've all done magnificently well. And if they finish early, 10 games to go? Mm-hmm. They finish early. There's nothing we can do about that. It's down to the other teams to make it a little bit more difficult for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, shall we start off with our first game? Let's go into the North Division first. Canvey Island against Heybridge Swifts. I mean, where do you see this one? We've got one team there that's should be doing better, and one team there, of course, as well that is sitting in those playoff places, looking to cement their place, and possibly again, the North playoffs. Maybe they're all done and dusted as well.
Yeah, again, looking at that, I mean, realistically, they're done and dusted. Bury 8 points off of Coggeshall in 5th, and Coggeshall got 2 games in hand. So they're pretty much sorted now. It was just a shuffling around of who's going to get the Heybridge and Malden looking like Heybridge, Malden and Aveley looking like they're fighting for that second spot, aren't they? So, they've got something to play for. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago, Dave. It'll make the playoffs a little bit more exciting because there's no big chase on to catch the team in top, and there's no huge disappointment late on by not going up. So yeah, I think I don't see anything other than a Heybridge win.
Do you think as well, Dean, as well? I mean, you look at the playoffs and you come to the end of the last couple of games, and you look at it and think, right, okay, I've got a home game in the semi-finals. And then the 4th and 5th place teams are going, right, okay, I've got an away game in the semi-finals. I can now start playing sort of the kids in the last couple of games, or sort of like players that wouldn't normally get a game, or would you play your full-strength team in those games to get yourself into the?
Well, you can't do it. You've got to be relentless and go to the end because of the points per game. If not all the playoff winners are not going to go up, then you've got to be winning every single game to get every single point. I mean, on this game here, the Heybridge Canvey game, this is probably the easiest game to pick, I think, out of all the ones that we're going to look at tonight.
Yeah.
You might say different with the Cray Wanderers one, but Heybridge are looking good. They are better at home, but I can only see a Heybridge win on this one. Canvey are on poor form. They had their first win in 5 games was at the weekend, and that was only to Romford. So it hasn't been a great season for them, to be fair. They should have been in and around the playoffs, but that's not happening. So I only see a straightforward Heybridge win here in this one.
Yourself, Paul?
Yeah, I think it'll be a balancing act of them keeping people fresh. But what I would say, everybody's used to playing a 46 game season. This is the first season with only 38 games. So, hopefully that will play a part as well. People will still be a little bit fresher than they would do after. 46 league games, a lot of games. You put the FA Cup, the trophy, the League Cups and all of those into those as well. It's a hell of a lot of games to be playing. So you'd like to think first season everybody will be fairly fresh, so they'll get a bit of a balancing act. If any little niggles will just be left out and available for the playoffs.
So you're excited by Haybridge this season? I mean, with Julian taking over, I mean, has it been one of those things we look at and think, wow, you know, they're playing some great football? I don't see anything of Haybridge or anything of Canty, but I mean, you know, he seems to be doing a fantastic job. He was there at Aveley at the weekend. I saw him sitting right in front of me. He said hello on last Saturday. He was there, I think, with his lady wife, or at least there on Saturday, and seemed to enjoy the game that was going on in front of him. But do you think that he's doing a really good job at Haybridge?
Yeah, I do. I think he's gone in and took it up from Jody and took it on a little bit further. If I'm honest, and if I look at all the people in the playoffs, they're maybe the least equipped as a club. Maybe I know that Gary's gone in there, the chairman, and is definitely trying to kick the place on, but maybe they're the least equipped out of them all if they go up.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was a bit worried that he wouldn't be up to carrying on from last season, because they done well, obviously, last season. But I think it's been excellent. I like the way he's, like you said, you see him at the weekend, and I see him in Beardwell's video. He seems to be having no problems at this level. He's come up against a tough team in Bowers, you know, so he can't compete for the league. But I certainly am hoping, unlike yourself, probably that they're the ones that go up in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they're the dark horses in there. I must admit myself. But so where do we think this one's going to go at the weekend? Canty and Haybridge.
I think it'll be 3-1 Haybridge.
I'm going 2-1 Haybridge. Dean?
And I'm going 2-0 Haybridge.
Okay. And we will get Dean. Will send them to me. Of course, he's not with us tonight. He's gone to see Jim Davidson. So. Unfortunately, but he'll give us these scores later in the week. So, you know, we're talking just then of Mr. Beardwell and his team this time go up against Soham Town. So, I mean, you know, where do we see this one? Whittam against Soham at the weekend. Two sides really that are in, you know, patchy form. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, again, you look at it, it's a big game. So I picked this one really because a Soham win drags Whittam back in the bottom three. Obviously depending on Derham's result. So as well as they've done to drag themselves out of it over the sort of just before Christmas and into the new year, they're still right in it. And if anything, the relegation fight's a more exciting one than the chase for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough when you're down there. It's probably more stressful. I'd say it's definitely more stressful than a promotion fight. Personally, as a manager, I've never been involved in a relegation scrap. Always been mid-table or chasing the playoffs. So,
Your CV.
Mate, to be fair, not about my CV anymore. But no, look, at the end of the day, I've never been involved in a relegation fight. I've always been up there fighting or sitting mid-table. So I imagine it's very stressful.
Dean?
Yeah, I see this one as a fairly even game. It's a tough one to pick. The benefit of watching someone like Beardwell's videos is that you do get to see some of the action from Whittam, which is good. So I do get to see 10 minutes of them every week. I notice they have certainly improved over lately. I think they've only lost sort of one in the last 7 at home, so that's where they're getting their points. I'm edging with them on this one. I think they can do it. I think if they win, that keeps Soham down and might just give them a bit of safety. So I think they'll go for it, and I think they'll just sneak this one.
I think just, you know, as a manager, somebody like James, that sort of spur you on as a player and as a manager when you've got somebody that vocal, you know, screaming for you every single week.
Yeah, look, he's great, isn't he? You know, he's very committed, and it's a pleasure to watch him when he's at the back behind the goal, shouting and singing and everything like that. And the players seem to love him down there and look after him and make sure they always go over and say thank you. So, yeah, look, support and someone willing you to win, that always helps, whether it's 1 or 10,000.
Dean?
Yeah. Well, for me, if he didn't exist, then I wouldn't really know about Whittam or care about them.
Yeah.
You know, but because me and my family, we quite enjoy watching his videos, and every Sunday, we'll flip through a few videos, and his one is one of them. So we can immediately catch up with their games from Saturday, because he's quite quick at getting them back onto YouTube. So I've got to kind of have a bit of a soft spot for them through him. I kind of enjoy, which is a little bit wrong, but I quite like it when they go behind in the game, because he gets a little bit frustrated, but then obviously I like it when they win. So that'll be the direction I hope this game goes in, that they go behind and then nick a win.
Well, I think Jason Collin, of course, massive Sowen fan. I think he should start doing these type of videos, because it'd be quite interesting to see his point of view of the Sowen games as well. I think that'd be that would be really interesting. I think he may be watching, so it'd be good to see his. But score then for this one, Sowen against Whittam. I'm going to say 3-2 to Sowen.
Well, I fancy Whittam, so hopefully they go behind for my enjoyment of the video. But I'm going to go for 2-1 Whittam.
I'd like for Whittam to win. I've got a boy there that, for me, is who played for me, a boy called Johnny Ashman, who's outstanding and should be playing in the top echelons of the league, without a doubt, league above. So I'd like Whittam to win, but I just got a sneaking suspicion that it will be a 2-0 Sowen.
2-0 to Sowen.
Yeah.
I'm on my own.
So I suppose the big news before we move on to the Premier games, I suppose the big news of the week, of course, is finally Mr. Cooper. He's back. And he's back, and literally only hours after he did a video with me, and we put it out. So maybe
it's all to you. It's all you.
It might be a lucky emblem. You never know your luck. That's 2 now. It's Terry and him. So we're doing it. We're still trying really hard with Paul. But but do you think that's a great appointment by Grays? And was you surprised that Jamie left?
I'd heard along the grapevine that it was close anyway with Jamie. I think they were desperate for him to succeed over there, being a club legend and whatnot, and it just hasn't seemed to work out for him. It's unfortunate it happens, and I think sometimes the head has to overrule the heart. Grays are a big football club in non-league and should be doing better than they are. And look, Jim's got all the experience in the world, and I think as soon as Jamie left, I think pretty much everybody had an idea it would be Mr. Cooper going in there and taking over, and good luck to him. I hope it goes well.
Yeah.
Go on, Dave, go on.
For sure. No, it's just made loads of sense as soon as I heard it as well. It made me laugh because it was the timing with your video and an interview and stuff. So that was good, but it just makes loads of sense. He's got 10 games or so now just to see through to a mid-table finish, as they're going to do, and get players in and out and prepare for next season and have a proper crack at it. But he's definitely the right man. He perfect pick.
Is there somebody then? I suppose one last question about the North before we jump in to the Prem. Is there anybody in that sort of playoff zone that you're feeling a bit unnervy about lately that may sort of drop out of the playoffs? There's always somebody that gets a bit, gets the collywobbles at this sort of time of the season and ends up sort of, losing and stuff. Listen, I would agree with you 100%. If you was asking me that question, that's who I would say 100%. Especially over the last few weeks. But do you see anybody else? Is there anybody in there? Do you worry for Aveley or Haybridge or Coggeshall? Because the top two are probably there.
Too big an ask now, mate. There's a big difference in points. And I think, again, 2-3 weeks ago, we spoke about Bury. They were the ones we felt maybe could just jump themselves in. But as typical Bury, they stutter. You know, they win a couple, lose a couple. I can't see it now. I think it's done. I think the top 5's done. It's just a case of who's going to finish the highest to get the home game is really the only battle that's going to go on between them, if I'm honest. I just don't think Sudbury have made it slightly too late. They put a good run together, but they've left it slightly too late. Tilbury, had the manager changed a month earlier, probably they'd be the ones you'd say would sneak in there. But no, I think it's all done and dusted.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the Prem division then. Carshalton versus Folkestone. Who wants to start with that one?
Difficult to call. Difficult. They're very, very difficult. Carshalton they need to keep winning. They need to win that game in hand, don't they? They've done ever so well with cup competitions. So it's a difficult one. I haven't seen them personally, but they're clearly a decent side. We've said this as well. To go up against Barnet and take them into a replay's got to have something about them.
See?
Yeah. They've on a good run as well, Carshalton. I saw a lot of them last season. Not this season now that they've gone up. Folks are on a funny side. They're doing really well at home, not as well away, and that's costing them. That's why they're not in the playoffs, but they've still got a chance. But at this stage, I'm actually going to be edging along the Carshalton route just with current form and home form. You know, I like some of their players, and I'll probably fancy Carshalton on this one.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I was thinking similar to that. It'd be Carshalton. I mean, they have to win tomorrow to have any real faint hope to get themselves into the playoffs. This league is done, I think, in terms of the champions, as we've said. But in terms of your players, there's a big fight going on all the way down, pretty much to Carshalton, 13th place. All of those can sneak themselves in. I think Dorking and Haringey are pretty much nailed on to be champions and Haringey to be in there. And then it's a big fight between the rest of them down to 13th for me.
I mean, for me, I think with that league in the playoffs, I think the two teams that maybe Haringey and maybe have to keep a lookout for will be Carshalton. I think, and the other one for me, the other dark horse, if they can get there, will be Brightling. So it just tells me that if they can sneak in there, they might well do something and do something really special because, not being funny, they're a team that are used to winning games and have won a league, stuff like that as well. They know how to do it. And, it might be a different manager in there at the time being, but there's still a lot of the same playing personnel in there. And I've just got a sneaking suspicion if they manage to get in there that they might nick that other place. Paul?
Yeah, I'd love to see it because they're a lovely club. And what a magnificent job the chairman's done down there, taken from where they are to what they're doing now. It was a big loss when James left. I know that hit them quite hard, but they've picked themselves up. The manager's gone in. Tom and done a great job for me. Done brilliant to get them where they are. I think it's a step too far from this year to get in the playoffs, but nothing would please me more than to see.
Well, I don't fancy Brighton Sea to get in it. I think it certainly could change. That playoff zone isn't confirmed. I mean, as you mentioned, Haringey are probably the only ones that are looking certain for it. I think this will be the best playoff zone out of all the Bostic leagues. This one, and as we'll probably go on and talk, around teams like Enfield, Tunbridge in a second, Bognor in there. Folkestone have to win this one really to be in there, and Carshalton as well. This is going to go right down to the wire. This is going to be good.
I think it's going to be one of those playoffs as well. Whoever gets in there, it's going to be toss of a coin. Who's going to win?
Yeah, I think if you look at it, Dave Mersham, Tunbridge, Enfield Town, Bognor, they've all experienced in being around the playoffs, getting in the playoffs, and once they're in there, they've all experienced it on the way. They get decent crowds in at these places. Worthing are probably a little bit new to it. Tell me if I'm wrong, but they might be quite new to it. Haringey last year went up in the playoffs, so they've got experience. So yeah, it's exciting. The Prem.
I think
Definitely.
out of the ones that are sort of really up there, for me, Enfield Town will be the one for me. I think they seem to be packed with a lot of star players in there as well, and I think they could be the one that people won't want to play in that semi-final.
Yeah, I've got a couple of boys that are with me, Matty Johnson and Sam Caney, that are there. So that would be great to see them keep being successful. That have worked with me along the way. So it'd be lovely to see them. Lovely to see them being successful.
And of course, worst case scenario, of course, would be, would you say, I mean this in the nicest possible way, but sod's law, if anybody's going to be the team that's going to miss out, it'll be Enfield Town, because of all the bad luck that they seem to have had, with the point deduction the other year, and then of course years ago they never managed to get into the actual sort of second division, did they? They'd always winning league, never managed to get up there, and it just seems like, possibly sod's law, it'll be them, would be the one that would miss out on the points per game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very possible. That would be annoying. They've, like you say, they've had such a tough time. Sod's law, they would get in there, win it, and then be one of them that don't go up. That would be awful. And that could really happen because it's such a tight one and they're all beating each other and all playing each other. This could be the league that's got the worst points per game averages. So you never know. I think it'd be harsh on Haringey Borough as well after such a good season if they was to get in and then not win the playoffs or win the playoffs and not get up through PPG. That would be awful.
But saying that, I'm not sure if that actually works in the Premier. Is that only in step 4? I'm not sure.
Sorry, yes. Yeah, with the Prem, isn't it super playoffs, isn't it? Two play each other.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it might only be step 4. So what do you think with Carshalton Folkestone then? What score are we going to go for? I'm going for 2-1 to Carshalton.
Well, I'm with you with Carshalton. I'm going to just go 1-0 though.
1-0?
I'm going to go 1-0. That was my initial reaction, so I'm going to go 1-0.
Okay. And we'll leave Enfield Town, of course, Tonbridge. That's the one that we'll come back to at the end. But we'll go into Dean's speciality. Shall we start going into these divisions now? Phoenix Sports against Bay Wanderers. For me, Phoenix Sports seem to have really sort of turned the corner of late, getting some decent results. Cray, they get still been, I suppose sometimes you could say, maybe not playing as well or playing well, but just nicking the points right at the very end of quite a lot of the games. Could be an interesting one with Mr. Teniola as well there as well. I've got a feeling Phoenix are going to give them a really good game at the weekend.
For sure. Phoenix are funny. I mean, I'm always at Phoenix. I watch a lot of them, so I know them very well. Very inconsistent though, but of late had a real tough time with injuries. All the centre-backs in the club have been out for the last few weeks. Returned last week, went to Ashford. No one fancied them at Ashford. Turned them over, got a 2-0 win. So a clean sheet against Ashford, who are an unbelievable team, is a superb result. And that was only last week. So they're going into the Cray game in decent form from that point of view. However, Phoenix's home form isn't great. If you look back over the last 10 games, they've only won 2 of them. Weirdly, against Horsham, who are second, and like Ashford, who are next to them as well. So 2 great wins. But they're just drawing. They've drawn like 5 out of the last 10. Can't quite get over the line. And that's why they're not going to be involved around the playoffs. But it's a good season for Phoenix. And on their day, they can do it. I went to the Cray Phoenix game in December. Ended up as 1-1. Teniola scored that day. And Joe Taylor then scored on debut. But Cray are good. Obviously, they're 13 clear. They are very, very, very good. They're going to win the league. On their day, they can batter anyone. And I suppose I hope this isn't their day. Although a big Cray fan, I'm a bigger Phoenix fan at the moment. So who knows how this one could go? It could be 5-0 Cray, or it could be what my prediction will be, which I'll tell you in a minute.
But do you see Cray as one of those sides? I suppose in years gone by, they've been a bit like what we were saying about with being very, very, one of those sides that sort of get there and then all of a sudden fall away at the last minute and all the rest of it. And I know Tony puts in a lot of work down there, and and has finally seems to have got a team that just seems unbeatable. And I know when me and Keith have spoken before, we spoke with Tony the other week and said, what we'd love to see is a friendly between them and Hayes and Yedding, and just see where that went, because I think that would be a phenomenal game of football.
They're a great team. What I like about them this season is they're not so reliant on one single goal scorer. If you look at, say, the top scorers charts, they haven't got anyone up there. Their highest is like Junior Dadson. He's only on 9 for the season, and Freddie Parker on 8. And they've just brought in Joe Taylor a few months ago, started scoring. But they haven't got like a Charlie Mack or an answer that's getting 20 goals. It's their whole team. When you look at, or when you watch them play, or you look at them on paper, it's not just one star, it's the whole team. They're amazing. Beautiful to watch. Tony and the guys down there are like Vinesy and Nathan White are doing an incredible job with them. I'm so pleased they have been able to hang on, because obviously last season they dropped away. Although we're saying, they might have had a stutter, but a stutter for them is a draw at Ramsgate, which is no bad thing, really. We'll see what happens Saturday, but they got points in hand. They're going to win this league. They're going to win it by a canter, and that's great news. And I can't wait to see them in the Premier next season.
And probably, they've got like the ex-Harlow man there, as you just said, Junior Dadson. I mean, what a fantastic man he is off the pitch, but on the pitch, what a fantastic footballer. And long, days and days and weeks of seeing him running past me in the stand at Harlow, and missed that massively, because he was such a fantastic footballer and also a great bloke as well.
Well, when he joined about a year ago, didn't he? And I felt for the second half of last season that he didn't settle. I didn't think he could find his position. I saw a lot of Cray last year, and it's like they couldn't find his position, or he just didn't settle. What it was, I don't know whether it's the turf or what, but it didn't quite work. But this season he's been unreal, and their forward line now with him and Taylor and Parker, unstoppable. It's brilliant.
Paul, you've seen much of them?
No, I mean, I obviously remember Cray from when they were in the North Division, and we played against them there. And I think the point that there's no goal scorer, I think where they win the league, and what every team that wins a league do one thing: they don't concede many. They don't concede many goals. So if you win 1-0 every week, then you win a league, don't you? They've lost one game all season. They've only scored 60. If you look at Hayes and Yedding, 100 and something goals.
Yeah.
So they score for fun, to be fair. So I think that would be an interesting game between the two sides, because it would probably be 0-0, wouldn't it? So look, I obviously when Tony was at VCD, played against his sides there, went up against Cray when we were at Cheshunt chasing playoffs, and they were up there in that division as well. And they're a tough side to play against. He gets there, they play on the front foot. Their fullbacks will look to play high and wide, and cause you all sorts of problems by doing that. They play with no fear. So fair play. Any team that goes out and loses one game all season so far deserves to win a division, and I applaud Cray and Tony for what they've done there this year.
So what do we reckon the score's going to be at the weekend?
1-0 Phoenix. No, I'm joking. I'm going to go 3-0 Cray.
3-0 Cray. I'm going to go a draw, 1-1.
Draw, that's a crazy result. This is the game I'm going to be at, so anyone wants to say hello, excellent, get early. Tottenham v Arsenal first, and Phoenix v Cray. It's going to be an excellent game. It's going to be 0-0 though.
0-0. Be an interesting one, if it is. But let's hope for two. Well, in that way, let's hope for a home win in that game and an away win in the other one that you just mentioned as well. Going on to the next game then. Hastings against Haywards Heath. It's one of those questions, as I put to Keith a few times. Is it the case that Cray have been that good, or is it the case that Hastings have thrown it all away?
Bit of both for sure. Right near the start, I saw a fair bit of Hastings, and I thought that was excellent. I thought them, Ashford and Cray would be the three and run away with it. Ashford obviously started badly before coming on good, so they ruined their title chances at nearer the start. Ashford, but Hastings didn't. They started brilliantly, and I thought this was going to be a two-horse race, and them and Craig go, but Craig haven't started, and Hastings have. A bit disappointing, really, because it's not given us a title race that I thought we would have had. So that's not good news. But I think Hastings are good. They're as good as any team I've seen in this league until tomorrow when I see Craig again. But and I think they could be the team that wins the playoffs. Should they get there?
Yeah. Paul?
Yeah, I mean, we took a side to Hastings when I was at Waltham Abbey when we were in the what was the Ryman Premier League, and what a difficult place to go and play at. Really, really hard to go and play. The pitch is fantastic. The surface over there normally. It's an old ground. I feel like going back in time a little bit in the dressing rooms and whatnot. It's just a very, very difficult place to go. So I look at that. I'll be honest. I'll make you right now. I think Hastings will go up, but I think what's important is they get the home game, the home tie in the playoffs if they get there. So yeah, again, what a good game to watch. Hayward Heath come up last year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got a winning mentality. They've obviously carried that on. It's a massive game. The goals scored and against is very, very, very similar. So it's a toss of a coin, I think, tomorrow.
And Hayward Heath, though, I mean, they seem to be, first season in the Isthmian League. I mean, they've done a great job, haven't they?
Oh, unbelievable! I saw them. It was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I saw them, and they're solid. They're hard. They're a very, very hard team to beat. Obviously, they're a hard team to beat. They're unbeaten in 6, but they haven't got quality like all the other teams have that are in the playoffs. I've pretty much seen them all, and I feel they're the weakest ones. They're going to finish in the playoffs by the looks of it because there's a gap, but they're the ones I would least fancy. They've got 2 forwards that are hard work for any defence. One of them is massive. He must be 7 foot. He is huge, and the other one, Andrew Dadhouse, is 7 foot wide. He's that big. 2 big lumps. They get it to him quite quickly. Not proper long ball, but they do get it into them quickly, and then they try and bully the defence. They're a team. They're a good team, but they're not an exceptional team. But what a first year they've had. I think they'll learn from this year. Get some more players in. I think they need to build up their defence. I wasn't massively impressed with their left and right back when I saw them. And next season could be could be a better season for them with Craig on. But for this game, I think it's going to go with a team with the better home record, and that'll be Hastings.
Would it be one of those things for you, though, that you expecting the playoff final to be Hastings against Ashford?
All day long. Yeah, although Horsham are second and doing it, Hastings and Ashford are the best 2 teams I've seen until I see Craig tomorrow and maybe change my mind. But I would expect it to be a Hastings v Ashford final. But like you said, Hastings will need to be at home for that first leg just to make sure. But yeah, that would be the final I'd suggest.
I suppose before we get your predictions on this, I suppose one of the news, the sad news that's coming out is all around Herne Bay. I see that they're in all kinds of financial issues down there.
Well, yeah, it's a strange one, and obviously they've had to lose their forward, Jake. Embry's gone to Maidstone, and he was such a key. He's got 17 goals this season. It's like 4th top scorer in the division, and as he's left, the announcements come out about their financial problems that they've got. So it's a little bit of a worry. It's all obviously with our league, with Thamesmead gone, that was through financial. There was then worries about Greenwich. That now looks solved, and now Herne Bay have announced that there's a few issues there. I now worry for them because I've seen Herne Bay and I didn't think they were great, but they had a great forward. Now they haven't got a great forward. So Greenwich, who are signing players tonight, I've noticed, are probably going to target Herne Bay as the team to overtake and send down. And it's not great news. Hopefully they just survive and just get relegated, if that's the worst that happens. But it's not looking good at Herne Bay, which is a shame.
Yeah, absolutely. So what score are we going to go for on this one then, Paul?
2-1 Hastings.
I'm going to go 3-1 Hastings. Dean?
Yeah, I'm going with you. There's going to be goals because this Melford Simpson guy, he's too tall not to score, so he's going to score for Haywards. But Daniel Ajacki's too quick. He's going to get a hat trick. 3-2 Hastings.
3-2 Hastings. Okay, so then going on to the Jigsaw League or the South Central League, whichever you want to call it. The team that we've adopted as their own for the Isthmian show on a Monday night, and of course that's Molesley. Molesley are playing Hertford Town at the weekend. So, I mean, where do we see this one going?
Tough. Another tough one. Hertford with the new manager in now seem to be... The results aren't quite as bad since he's gone in. Obviously, they got beat 8-1, didn't they, by... was it... I think it beat them 8-1. They seem to have stemmed that. They've got a lot of new players coming in. Molesley, if I'm right, picked up a win at the weekend last weekend.
Yeah.
So there'll be so that was a big one for them. I mean, they're going to look like they're gone, don't they?
Yeah.
Molesley have to win.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose tomorrow, that's pretty much them gone with Egham, I would say. So it's a big game. Where is it? Is it at Hertford or is it at Molesley?
It's at Molesley.
It's at Molesley.
Molesley. So look, they've got to win. Simple. But basically, if they don't win tomorrow, I would say bye-bye to the Bostik League.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Molesley are shocking at home, though. I mean, they have only won once all season at home. That was against Egham, who they just beat away last weekend. They are shocking at home, but I agree with you. This is it. They have got to give it all. If they don't win this, that could be it for them. Hertford having a shocker, not 1 in 7, only won 1 away all season. You've got the team that can't win at home, team that can't win away.
It'll be 5-all then.
That'd be nice. Not what I predicted, but that would be nice. But Molesley have got to do it. This is set up for them to get the win, to keep it all alive. To draw closer and survive possibly.
I think Molesley, lovely side. Hopefully, as much as Hertford's only round the corner to us, of course, but love to see Molesley win tomorrow. I think they're going to be a lovely club. Tracy down there, the secretary, I've been in contact with him, and we're going to be doing a chat with their manager as well for my life in football in the coming days. So it'll be lovely to see them survive. And do you know what? I've just got a suspicion they might win tomorrow.
Yeah, I have no affiliation to Hertford, so it is what it is. They're our side; they're the ones we want to win. So hopefully they'll pick the result up. 2 games in hand, then it's squeaky bum time, as Mr. Ferguson once said.
So what do we reckon score-wise on this one?
Right, I've gone Molesley, and I've gone 2-1.
That's what I've gone for, 2-1. Paul?
1-0 Molesley.
1-0 Molesley. So if Dean goes as well when he lets us know later on, then that's a full house there. That's one of the teams that, I suppose, a surprise team for me, because they're always one of those sides that, as we've said before, that you're always talking about being in the relegation zone, being in a relegation scrap, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, they're not in that anymore. They're up there pushing for playoffs in Ware. So, of course, that's our next game, Ware against Tooting on the 3G. The lovely 3G, as Paul says. Where do we see this one then?
Obviously, week after week, Paul's done a wonderful job there because that was a tough gig. They lost their identity. Where for a long time. I was there a long time ago when Glenn Alzapidi was there. Were very, very successful down there. Glenn had a great side, done well in the FA Cup, got to the first round proper. Were chasing playoffs. Unfortunately, the money got pulled after the FA Cup game and it all went a bit belly up. And ever since that day, they've lost their identity, they've lost what they are, where they want to be, and they've done nothing but fight relegation. So I'm really, really, really pleased because there are some wonderful, wonderful people at that football club. And I'm really pleased for Paul, and I'm really, really, really pleased for everybody at Ware. And I think they could be the ones that maybe sneak in. There's always one.
I've literally just looked up just at the right time. I've got Leeds West Brom in the background, and Leeds have scored in 30 seconds straight from the kickoff, a West Brom kickoff. But it's 1-0 Leeds, as it stands, from about 35 yards.
We need them back in the Premier League, don't we?
Yeah, like an hole in the head.
Yeah.
But I mean, where though? I mean, do you think it is a case that all of a sudden then, and I know we've spoken about it, we have a laugh, we have a joke about 3G surface, we change the surface, and all of a sudden their fortunes seem to have changed as well.
Best thing they did. Best thing they did. It needed. I mean, the pitch was diabolical over there, and that is without a shadow of a doubt one place that you go, do you know what? That was the best thing you've ever done, is put that 3G down, because it was like playing on a muddy field before that. So yeah, look. Proof's in the pudding, mate. We all joke and we all. I know your feelings and you know our feelings on it. There's an advantage with a 3G. The facts and the proof is there, and it don't matter how anybody wants to bleat away to me that it doesn't. It does.
Well, Jake has just come in, and he's just, of course, he's a 3G man himself. He sells the stuff, so. But he says, I think Tooting not getting the same catchment of players anymore because the transport isn't near. And he's putting it my topic 3G smiley emoji. So yeah, it just seemed to make a difference. As you said, it was like a paddy field, wasn't it? The every time it rained, you knew you were going to get a game because it was going to get called off. It looked like a tractor had been over it and ploughed it before you got on it.
Normally it had, mate.
Yeah, but it was that type of thing, wasn't it? And it was the two pitches probably that were, I suppose you could put them in contrast. Was where Waltham Abbey, you knew the minute it started raining, you knew you weren't going to get a game of football.
I think we in the 3 months I was in charge without a game at Waltham Abbey. But in the 3 months without a home game.
But in the summer, it was always like a pit in the summer. You know where it was like dust everywhere and everything else. But not being funny, it's that situation where you look at Waltham Abbey's pitch now, and I haven't seen it lately, but I see it when we can see it at a distance when you go over the M25 bridge. Their pitch still looks, literally still looks like it hasn't been played on at all, but that's still grass, with the stuff.
Yeah, well, what I would say about that, Dave, is the chairman, who I have a great relationship over there with, has put almost as much money into that pitch as you would do to put a 3G down. Yeah. That's the way it is.
And it just shows that you can do it, though, doesn't it? You don't have to have a 3G way.
Absolutely.
But in that sort of side of it, I suppose, is he getting the income back that Ware are getting back by putting the 3G down when he's put down, done a great grass pitch? The answer is that no, isn't it?
No chance.
He's put his own personal money into it, Dave. That's what. I have a lot of respect for the man down there. He doesn't. You don't hear anything about him. You don't hear him telling everybody how wonderful he is and what he's done for the football club. He goes around his business very quietly. It's his little drinking hole. He likes going and having a beer down there, and he's quite happy to put his own personal fortune into it. And I couldn't have any more respect for a man than what John's done down there. And I had an influence in bringing him in. It wasn't completely down to me by all means, but I had an influence with trying to get him there when I was manager, and he came in, and we have a fantastic relationship. When I see him now, we stand and have a chat and whatnot. So look, it's his money. He's put it in. 3G will generate you money, but I'd still take a pitch every day.
Yeah. Well, Jake's just come back and said hybrid is the way forward in the future, guys. It's 15% artificial in the root zone onto a cloth-like fabric, and natural turf is grown through the cloth. He's also said gives more of a natural turf to bind to and makes it more durable and hard wearing. And he's also put, after your comment about the money that he spent, £450,000 on a natural pitch. Bloody hell, is what he's put down on there.
But I promise you now, and again, Yeah, I promise you now, I know the money's put into that pitch, and it's a lot, a
It's
lot.
it
It
is
needed it over
it
there.
is six figures as well, isn't it? So we do know that.
It's a lot of money that he's put in over there, and fair play to him. Arsenal do the same, don't they? Theirs is
Yeah,
15%.
yeah, it's yeah.
You know, so yeah, look again, but it's all money. It's all money, money, money.
Dean, your thoughts? 3G wise, do you think that's made a difference for where?
Well, yeah, it certainly has. Like you said, some of the I don't like 3G pitches at all, but in some cases they need them, and theirs was one of them because of how bad the pitch was. I personally just do not enjoy watching a game on a 3G pitch. It feels too much of a training ground game for me, so I don't like watching it. But in Ware's case, it's working. They're around it, although their form away from home is good, so they enjoy playing away from there. Will they get in the playoffs? A little bit of work to do, isn't there? Played more games as well. They're going to need to win this one.
Tooting then, what do we think about Tooting?
Similar, really, in their performance this season. Obviously, they're next to them in the table. Their away form is the best in the league. This is such a key game. I'm glad we picked this one because the losers may well that may be it for them. So it's such a key game. But I like Tooting and Mitcham. I think they'll get in it. I think they'll make it into the playoffs, and then not just that, but also be a force. I think they could be the one.
Pressure's on Chesney, isn't it, tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't know who they're playing tomorrow, but
Hanwell Town tomorrow.
And who?
Hanwell Town tomorrow.
It's a difficult game for them. Hanwell big and strong, so yeah, it's a difficult game for them. The pressure's on them. They lose tomorrow, then all of a sudden the chasers are starting to jump themselves in there, and then there's a well, they're not far off of jumping in there with Tooting having a game in hand on them. So the pressure's on Chesney.
So what do we see with this game then tomorrow? Where against Tooting?
For me, I'm going to go with the fact that they're both good away and only one of them's away tomorrow. So I'm going for a Tooting and Mitcham win, and I'm going 3-1.
I'm going to go 2-2. Paul?
I'm going to go Ware 3-1.
Ware 3-1.
Oh, we've got it all covered.
Yeah, one way or the other. Someone's going to get some points come the end of the week. So I suppose going on to the star game of the week, and great game as well. Tonbridge, of course, coming in after a 0-0 draw with Lewis during the week. And it's Enfield Town against Tonbridge, two sides that, of course, could possibly meet in the playoffs as well if Enfield can get in there and Tonbridge can stay in there. What do we reckon, Dean?
I think they could both get in there. I like them both. These are two of my favourite teams. For me, for where I live, I don't really have any Bostik Premier teams around my area. I live in North Kent. So for me, Tunbridge are actually my nearest Bostik Premier side, even though they're quite a long way away. So I've always had a soft spot for them, and I've been and seen them, and I like them, and I know a lot of not know them personally, but I know of a lot of their players and where they've been in the history and stuff. So I've got a big soft spot for Tunbridge, and I hope they do it, and I think they'll be in the mix. Tough game tomorrow, though. Tough game. Big scorers up against each other, obviously. I mean, your favourite person's playing against Billy Bricknell, so you always like this one, and I knew you would pick this one as a big game. And rightly so, it is the big game of the whole weekend.
I mean, for me, you've got two of the best strikers, two of the best strikers. I'm not saying they are the best two, but you've got two, in the machine against Bricknell. So, I mean, it'll be an interesting one to see who comes out on top between those two tomorrow as well.
It will be. I know you like that, but Tunbridge have got other strikers. I mean, Enfield are heavy on Bricknell, but Tunbridge have got in Tom Derry and Joe Turner as their top scorer, and really they can play all three. I think they've got more different firepower, whereas Enfield are heavy on Bricknell. Obviously, he's superb and he's the top scorer in the division and stuff. But it all leads to a great game and probably goals.
0-0 then. Paul?
Yeah, I mean, there'd be a big crowd in at Donkey Lane, I would have thought. tomorrow. Enfield get very well supported anyway, and it is a big game because there's 3 points between the two sides. I'd like Enfield to win the game. I actually think it will be a draw, and I don't often say that. I don't often sit on the fence, but I think it will be a draw.
But do you think either one of these two teams, if they're in the playoffs, could actually come away and get promoted? And if they're both in the playoffs, I mean, which one do you see out of the two of them maybe nicking that other place alongside Dorking?
I think Tunbridge have the experience, obviously, because they've been up into the division above. Enfield, in previous years when they've been in the playoffs, have always had to come up against the big side, the Dulwich Hamlet, someone like that. And without, I don't mean it disrespectfully at all. There's no big sides in there, is there? You know, the ones that are paying out that little bit more money and whatnot. So I think if Enfield get in there, I actually think Enfield will go up.
And do you think they'll do okay in the Conference South? I think it's one of those clubs that, you know, that if they when they get up, they will go up again. A bit like a Maidstone. I think they could be one of those sides that would, because of the name of the club as well, everybody sees Enfield as a big name in sort of non-league terms, and I think it could be one of those things where they could end up actually going up again.
Sleeping giant, mate. Sleeping giant. But what I would say is, I think if you go on when they went into the Ryman Premier at the time, it took them a couple of seasons to find their feet. And obviously they've been in and around the things. Other than last year, they've been in and around it for a couple of seasons, haven't they? They get well supported. I think the next league may be a step too far though.
Steve?
Agreed. I think the next step for, if it is Enfield that would get through, I think it's too hard. I see a lot of National South action, and I think that's a big difference. You see Dulwich Hamlet not exactly pulling up trees in that division, but it's fine just to go up and survive like they're going to. And whoever goes up, whichever one it is, if it's Haringey, Tunbridge, Enfield, whatever, a few seasons of coming from fifth, fourth from bottom is a success, I would say. I don't see any of these sides going up and performing that well in the division above. It's such a massive step.
The only ones who may be able to do that is Dorking.
Yeah. Because
of their financial clout. They're not quite on the scale of a Billericay, but I know they're paying out very, very, very good money for the division they're in. So I think Dorking, if they go up, will equip themselves and be able to kick on again.
So what we going for?
Yeah, I think he'll spend money. Yeah.
What we going for in this game? I'm going with Jake. I'm going 2-2.
Going 1-1.
Tunbridge are better away than they are at home. Tunbridge are going to win 3-1.
3-1. Interesting. I suppose one thing it would be wrong of us to ask somebody from North Kent, you know, I know it's not our division, I know it's a step below, but surely you must be over the moon with two Kent sides in that FA Bars semi-final.
Well, this is massive for me. I mean, what I work with a SCEFL. I run the social media and the website for the Southern Counties East Football League, and we've just got two teams into the semi-final of the FA Vars, which is huge. They're playing each other. We're going to go Wembley, one of them, Cray Valley or Canterbury. I've been buzzing all week from it. Everyone I know and I deal with is just over the moon about this. It is literally the best news that I've had in a long time of supporting non-league football in Kent. It's just brilliant.
Who's the favourites to go up into? You know, well, go into the final.
Cray Valley, Paper Mills are the favourites. League position, they're third. Canterbury are like 12th. Cray Valley have got more bigger names. Kevin Lisby is one of their main strikers. Gavin Tomlin and Anthony Edgar. They got firepower up front, but awesome in defence as well. So they'll be the favourites. But Canterbury, they were expected to lose to Biggleswade last Sunday, and they just turn up in the Vars. And I'm going to be there at both games. It's on Sunday the 17th of March, and then on the Saturday 6 days later down in Canterbury. I live in Cray Valley, but they play in Eltham, and that's kind of one of my local teams as well. But I work with a scaffold, so I'm a neutral for it, but certainly Cray Valley are the favourites.
So what's the odds then on a Kevin Lisby, Leighton Orient both getting to the two finals on the day?
I mean, that would be amazing. I fancy Leighton Orient to get there. I hope they do, because they'll bring a big crowd and make it a good day. They'll then support, if Cray Valley get there, they'll support Cray Valley, which is good for me working with a scaffold. So that would be an amazing thing. It will also give it a great angle and get more media, national media involved. That will be the angle they come in. Certainly when we've been dealing with the media through Cray Valley's run, the first thing they mention is always Kevin Lisby. You know, he's the one that starts the conversation. They've got 40-year-old Kevin Lisby, former Premier League striker, and that will be the angle in should they make the final. But it ain't over. Canterbury could do this.
Well, I must admit, it's one of those for me, and I don't know about you, Paul, but I'm desperate for Leighton Orient to get there, because I don't think they'll be in a competition this time next year. But
Agreed.
I'm hoping that they get there, because they're not going to take my old man to Wembley and see Leighton Orient at Wembley. I don't think he's ever been able to do ever. So, and it's his birthday 2 days after the final as well, which is quite good. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed. I don't want to book the tickets yet and jinx it, so I'm waiting, especially as they were 1-0 down at the weekend. And then when I got back from AB, saw they'd 1-2, I was over the moon. So fingers crossed that they do get there, and I can take the old man for his birthday to Wembley for the first time.
Yeah, I'd like to see Cray Valley get there. A friend of mine, Craig Gibson, the goalkeeper coach, lovely man. One of the people that keeps in contact with me after coming out of football for a little while, and I speak to on a regular basis. So for me, I hope Cray Valley get into the Vase final for him, because he's one of the good guys at football.
Well, so time's actually flown by again tonight, and a massive thank you to Dean on his debut. Fantastic. And Paul, of course, as usual. I suppose, just so you know, there's no show on Monday night again. Unfortunately, I'm away on Monday night, but we are trying to record the next episode of My Life in Football. Lined up for me to interview over the weekend. Of course, he's our old pal of mine and Paul's in Mr. Driver and Glenn. So we're going to have a chat with Glenn. We're also going to have a chat with Craig Edwards. We're also going to have a chat as well with Craig Lewington from Molesley as well over the coming weeks. And of course as well, we're going to have a chat with the Folkestone manager as well at the same time. So there's a few to look forward to over the coming weeks. But a massive thank you to everybody that's been watching. Don't forget to tune in to My Life in Football. But that will come out hopefully on Monday or Tuesday of next week in place of the Eastman Show. Me and Keith will be back Monday week. Me, Paul, Dean, and hopefully Dean will be back next Friday evening. But until then, thank you for watching, and good night.